Hi guys, how you going? Campbell here from Autodidactic. Hope you're all having a fabulous day. And of course, autodidactic means to be self-educated. And it's becoming increasingly obvious that we need to be self-educated in this world because we're obviously being told fibs about who we are, what our true story is, and what actually went on in the past. And also our language. There's a lot of words and we're starting to see these pop up everywhere. So today I just wanted to have a beautiful look, touching again on sort of Martin. He's been looking at mirrors and things. So I just wanted to touch on mirrors, portals, and a few things like that. So what does the word mirror actually mean? So this is Etum Online. Mid-13th century, a mirror, polished surface of metal, coated glass, etc. Used to reflect images of objects, especially the face of a person, from Old French miroir, a reflecting glass, looking glass, observation, model, example. Earlier mirador from mirror, look at oneself in a mirror. So they are linking there, in case you missed that. So it means a reflecting glass and a looking glass, as well as, so it's both, they're saying it's both a reflecting glass, something that reflects an image, and also a looking glass, which is basically, like a magnifying glass or something that you look through. Down here it says, look at oneself in a mirror to observe, watch, contemplate, from the vulgar Latin mirare, to look at, a variant of Latin mirari, to wonder at and admire. The Spanish conate mirador, from mirror, to look at, behold, has come to mean watchtower, gallery, commanding an extensive view. Okay, so that's interesting. So the Spanish etymology is more to a watchtower, like a view, a commanding view, like it's explaining the view that you get if you're standing on a tower or a hill or something. An extensive view. Mirror, or its medieval Latin variant, speglum, is the source of the word for mirror. Its neighbouring languages, Italiano specchio, Spanish espejo, blah blah blah, an ancient Germanic group of words for mirror is represented by Gothic skugwa, Old Norse skugzia, Old High German suka. Okay, so words for mirror are mostly from verbs to look, with a few words for shadow or other sources. So it's to look. So in all this etymology, it seems like mirror is a lot more to do with looking, looking glasses, extensive views as a main theme, and reflection is a sort of secondary theme. So that's what we've got from mirror. Mirror, to reflect, Middle English verb, to be a model, to look in a mirror. And then we've got mirage as well, which is very closely related to mirror, optical illusion of objects reflected in a sheet of water in hot sandy deserts. 1800 in translation of French works from French mirage. See mirror, to be reflected. Alright, so what does reflected mean? Reflection. Late 14th century. Reflection in reference to surfaces throwing back light or heat. From Latin reflexionen, reflection literally a bending back. Noun of action from past participle stem of Latin reflectire, to bend back, bend backwards, turn away. From back, so to bend back. Now, isn't that interesting? A reflection is not really, the way that we are told what a reflection is. It's basically just, it's not a bending back, is it? It's just a mirror. It's a flip. Oh gosh, how do you explain it without saying reflection? But you know what I'm saying. It's not. It's giving you the same image, just reversed when you look into a mirror. It's not bending anything backwards. Bend backwards gives the inference that it's going from the mirror backwards, back into something. So what really are mirrors? So as you'll see, this is an old cathedral in front of us. This is a photo from 1900. And again, that's a very good photo from 1900. Why don't we have photos of buildings being built around this time of this quality? But the reason I show you this is mainly because we have two big round things up here. Stained glass windows, but when you look at them from the outside, they kind of look like portals. Here we have another one, and again, amazing architecture. Look at the size of this thing. You can see here we've got like 3-4 story houses, and they're about and they're on a hill. Look how big this doorway is. And these doorways that are sort of come out like this, funnel out, is that the right word? They sort of funnel out. There's lots of them, and that's something that's got to do with cathedrals that I want to get into. See how they sort of, this one's covered in statues, but they sort of have layers and they get bigger as they go out. So yes, here we have this other, what could be described as a portal. Now, this is Gattica. This is a French website. If you've never been here, go check it out. It's full of old books. It's just Gattica.fr. You should find it because it's French. And as you can see, I've put portal in here, and look what has popped up. Whoa, that's very fast. Pictures, non-stop pictures of cathedrals. And more than that, cathedral windows and doorways. And cathedral doorways as well, they always have this kind of look, don't they, in this shape, and they look a bit more than just doors. Then we have these more sort of stylized type doors, and these, when we get them looking like this with the pillars, they start to call them porticoes. And so I found that very interesting, that when I put that in, what I get is these doorways and these round windows popping up, all cathedrals. Look at the work on that. So this is what is popping up. See all the round portals, the windows, and also doorways. So, this is the whole thing. What really is, a portal? Because we have all these words, and they are all to do with, they seem to be to do with the Phoenicians and maritime laws. We have, of course, port. The left side of a boat is called the port side. We have porticoes. We have portholes, which are again in boats. We have portals, which is very, very close to portholes. And I'm sure there's many, many more. We have things like, airports, all these different sort of bus ports, things like that. My mother's actually from Queensland, Australia, and in Queensland, Australia, they call suitcases ports. So I just found that very interesting, that that's what I'm being shown. And this as well, something else, in French, looking glass, I think the L's been lopped off looking glass there. I'll see if I can move the screen. Ooh, look at that. Yeah, so looking glass in French is mirror. Okay, so if I change that to mirror, mirror. It's the same in French. Mirror and looking glass are the same word. So what exactly is a port? A port, a bay, a cove, an inlet or recess of a large body of water where vessels can load and unload and find shelter from storms. Somewhere to harbour a natural or artificial port. But then when we get down here, we find out that the Old English and Old French words, both from Latin portus or port harbour, figuratively are a haven, a place of refuge or asylum. Okay, which gives it a slightly different meaning. If we're looking at this from a perspective of, you know, the Phoenicians and the conquerors and people who have destroyed our heritage and all the old world, and they're described, so a port for them, which is on the water, which is where all their vessels are, that's for them is a haven, a place of refuge and asylum. And of course that is the law, that is maritime admiralty law. Okay, for these people who have installed this system, their law, the law of the sea, for them is a place of refuge, a haven and asylum. Now it also says in Old Latin also a house, originally an entrance or a passageway, akin to porta, city gates, gate, door. Okay, now you're going to see this theme coming up again. Gates and doors. So, you know, when we have looking glasses, and we can relate that to Alice in Wonderland, you know, through the looking glass. In that instance, the looking glass is a doorway, a portal. And if you look into this etymology, it's all starting to look the same. Portico from 1600, from Italian portico, from Latin porticus, colonnade, arcade, covered walk, porch, from porta, which is gate. Gate, 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 from pi root, to lead, to pass over. Okay, and that's when we get the threshold, right? When you get married, not done so much these days, but in days gone by, the bride and groom would return to their home, you know, their marital home, and the groom would carry the bride over the threshold, over the doorway, over the portal, over the gate. So what does all this mean? You know, what really are all these gates, doors, portals, and why are they so elaborate? You know, like seriously, what else is going on here? Look at this. Look at that. You're telling me that's built just for a door? Because it kind of looks like a gateway, you know, the way that they pop out like that. And they all tend to do it when you start looking at them. And they all, of course, have similar shapes to them as well. So what is going on here? And just quickly, just to follow that theme of the water and maritime law and ports, etc., this is the Australian flag, as you probably all know. What you may not know is that this is the Australian naval flag. Now, the story goes that this is actually the Australian flag, the Australian common law of the land flag. But it's now the naval flag. It's now being flown on ships. This is now being flown on the land. But as you'll notice, this has got a blue background, which represents, you would think, maybe water, as a naval flag should. So this is another thing that's happened. They have swapped the flags, which means that now, that what they're saying is the law of the water, maritime law, now rules the land. So they've taken over the land with their flags. If we go here, this is maritime flag USA. As you'll see, it's red. Okay, and you can do this for, many countries, and you'll see, here we go, red. You'll start to see a pattern here. Okay, so they've also, and flags, of course, flag poles, right? They put their flags on all the Antiquitech poles when they're rebranding things. And this is a territorial thing, we know. It's like, when they went, supposedly, when we saw footage of people supposedly on the moon, what's the first thing they do? They put a flag down. What's the first thing they do when they go and conquer new lands? They put a flag down to say, this is ours. So what France has got. Oh, they got many, but there you go. It looks like it's red. And this is the thing. It's everywhere. That they have literally changed the law. And we all know this. They've enforced the law of the sea onto the law of the land. As you can see, that's New Zealand. So, yes, red flag, blue flag. And of course, we have a saying, right? It's a bit of a red flag. Something you need to look at. Alright. And talking about portals and porticoes, where is this person going? Walking straight into a portico. And I also wanted to touch on laurel wreaths, because these are tied in as well. And as you can see here, this is the laurel wreath on the UN flag, going around the Earth, representing Antarctica maybe. But yeah, or representing, their grasp on the Earth. Laurel wreath, of course, were around with all the Caesars and the rulers of Rome and Greece. They say ancient Greece. The word Greece was actually invented in the 1800s, so there was no ancient Greece. But it says in ancient Greece, laurel wreaths were awarded to the winners of athletic competitions in the Olympics. In Greek mythology, crowns made from the laurel leaves are closely associated with gods and goddesses. The Olympian god Apollo, the son of Zeus, is depicted wearing the laurel wreath in various instances. The wreath was used as a status symbol by the rich and influential people of the time. The laurel wreath crowns were first instituted by Apollo. It is said that Apollo unrelentingly pursued his love interest, Daphne, a nymph who didn't feel the same way about Apollo and fled to save herself. That's an interesting story, isn't it? She sought help from the river god, who turned her into a laurel tree. The grief-stricken Apollo used the branches and leaves from the tree for consolation and made them into a crown. In other accounts, it is said that Apollo instituted the Pythian Games, in which winners were awarded a laurel crown. These games were held every 4 years and included both physical and artistic competitions such as wrestling, drama, music, poetry, dancing, and the victors were awarded laurel wreaths. So basically, laurel wreaths are associated with gods, with power, and with basically winners. So basically, the people who have the power, I guess, who are presented to the people as the best of their class. So what it is also, the meaning of the laurel wreath symbol, what does the crown represent? The leaf used in making laurel crowns is believed to have physical and spiritual cleansing abilities. The laurel crown is also associated with Victoria, known in Greek mythology as the goddess of victory. Now that's a word I was trying to get at before. So people who win the Olympics and all these events are victorious. They're the victors. And we all know what the victors, right? Don't we? His story. Over time, Apollo's iconic crown symbolized victory, which is why it is used to crown geniuses, wise men, and heroes. It is also imprinted on shields and depicted in various other styles of architecture, which is where I wanted to go. So, yeah, it represents the gods, authority, victory, and it's stamped all over the Tartarian buildings. Here's the picture, and you can see it's not the best, but you can see there's a wreath around this big Phoenician kind of artwork here. And they do this everywhere. They do it a lot on windows as well. There is a picture here of someone being crowned, I believe. Yeah, this guy. So you can see he's been crowned with a laurel wreath, and we've got angels and the sun coming down. So, you know, it's like he's being crowned by the gods or made godly. Lord Bourbon. There you go. Lord Bourbon, the spirits are on his side. And here we have an old photo. This is Rome. Again, same deal. Muddied roads. Tiny people. And here we have the doorway, the gateway, the entrance, the threshold with the pillars and the arc. And above that, of course, we have the wreath marking ownership. And you can see on this building as well, this is another old photo, and just wreaths everywhere. There. And then up the top, and we get these, not so much there, but a lot they use, you know, those sort of hanging kind of half wreathy looking leafy things that seem to be pretty related to this whole sort of theme. Kind of look like this, but they don't seem like they're stylized enough. But yeah, look at that ownership on that building, and look at the top of it. Does that look like a crown? Got the dome here, and look. And then on each corner again we've got the four points, and the, you know, the middle. What is this? Mount Meru? Don't know. And angels and horses by the looks of it. Maybe Pegasus. But I mean that's quite a building, isn't it? And here we have mirrors or looking glasses surrounded by the laurel leaf. And it's quite a thing. And back in the day as well, tons and tons of mirrors. They all had, even look at this, even on the back of the mirror, got the laurel leaves surrounding the mirrors, on the tops of the mirrors. Laurel leaves for ownership. This is just a Google search, so they're not particularly the best pictures. And here's another old building, and as you can see, laurel wreaths again all across the top of this building, and they are, well, this one looks like it's a window. These look like they've been filled in, and they look like they might be windows. And of course, you know, old world architecture. And this is a good picture to sort of illustrate what I'm trying to point out. I mean, also notice this old world wrought iron fencing, maybe making a circuit of some kind around the building. But yeah, look at this. Is this not ridiculous? Like, seriously. You know, of course, built in the 1600s or something by unskilled artisans. But look at this, it's covered in angels, and we've got crosses and bits of, you know, antiquitech sort of looking devices everywhere. And then we have these porticoes, and as we so often have, the porticoes have people in them, and they're often, you know, angels or different sort of godlike looking people. You can see here we've got the wreath. Are they wreaths or are they shields? I'm not sure. Maybe they're shields. And then above this portico, we've got a porthole with a face in it. Got the same thing here. And then just sort of everywhere, we've got these porticos with, you know, angels and beings popping out of them. Down here, there's more. Okay, there. They're on these porticos, portals with Antiquitech. Again, this has, you know, and this one too, we've got the 4 points on the outside and the one in the middle. So, yeah, you know, ports, porticos, portals, what is this? Is this all, because this is obviously tech, and these windows, these type of porticos, which I showed you, like the doorways, they look like they're a portal, you know, like something's coming forth, like that's, you know, it's got that 3D effect, like a tunnel. So yeah, what really are these? And I haven't even touched on mercury. Obviously, mercury, you know, also called quicksilver. If you pour it in a bowl, you get a mirror or a looking glass. And that is another thing, is there's none in this picture, but you'll see in many pictures, the old world architecture, they have lots and lots of pots around, like these pot sort of things up on the tops of buildings. So I'm not sure if they've got something to do with it as well, but I mean, look at this. And look at it, this is sort of popping out of the ground. It looks like the top of a massive building, and it's just been surrounded by other buildings. You know, and all these arches and arcs. You know, is that something to do with it? Arc, energy, portal. You know, because we know that basically we've been invaded by something, by, you know, whatever. You know, some, I'm not sure. Psychopaths, sociopaths have just got together, or people from a different realm, maybe different people from a different part of this realm, maybe. I mean, we just don't know. But what we know is that they aren't us. They're trying to instigate a world on us that we don't want, that only benefits them through their, you know, their maritime portal laws and all this kind of stuff. And we have these buildings covered in Phoenician architecture that is just, you know, a bit, I mean, most of it's been ripped off now, but when you look at the old world buildings, it's just like, what is it? What are all these, you know, these shapes, 4-leaf clovers, 3-leaf clovers? No, we've got these, you know, what are these, sort of these Moorish kind of onion arches and doubled up, and these are the 3-leaf clover. You know, arches everywhere, portals, you know, these triangles. I mean, look at the Antiquitech stuff up the top here. I mean, that's not even a church. And look at all these they're like the 3-leaf clover things, all with little balls coming out of them. And that's just a house, or some kind of, you know, dwelling by the looks of it. And what were these buildings in the first place as well? You know, we're treating them like houses and hotels and that, but is that really what they were with all this? You know, because you look at something like this, and you can see we've got bits of the old, you know, artwork and facade, the facade, still bits of it on. You know, has the rest been ripped off? And all that we get left is, you know, the sort of underlying stuff they can't take out, like the pillars and the windows and things. Who knows? I'm actually just flicking back here because there is a picture I want to finish on. And here it is. So, oops, I pushed the wrong button. Antiquitech. You know, what is it? What's it for? I mean, obviously we've you know, free energy, but what are all the arches and all? You know, this is a perfect picture. Look at this portico, huge portico with the entrance, you know, the gateway, massive dome. On the top we've got another dome. On the top of that we've got an angel or someone with a halo or a wreath. All this sort of strange looking architecture. And on this one, look at this. Look at these springs. What are they? Look at them. And this thing is just covered in statues. And look, it's even a construction photo, you see? They're building it. Got a little wooden crane here. And that's about what they had, you know, in the 1900s or whenever this photo was taken. And look at the structure that they're supposed to have built. You know, more porticos, entrances, columns, coils. What does it all mean? So, yeah, I'm going to leave it there. This was really just more of a video about questions and just, you know, Windows portals, you know, there's a link there and this laurel leaf and the, that also links into this kind of leafy, you know, facade stuff that we see in the tops of these columns as well. And then there's the big question, is this all Phoenician, or is it Tartarian? You know, has the original facade or, you know, facade been ripped off and replaced with Phoenician stuff? Has it been changed somehow, the energies? You know, have they changed what the output or input of these machines were, so they're now running on a different frequency and, you know, entities can enter? Who knows? More questions than answers, as always. So leave me a comment, leave me a like, hit the bell if you want to be notified of my future uploads. And of course, if you do want to support this channel, there are links below in the description. And yeah, thanks for spending some time with me. Have a fantabulous day, and I'll catch you on the next upload. Bye for now.